For the Disney and Pixar merger, I would describe it as a horizontal acquisition since both Pixar and Disney were in the same industry where they were involved in animated films. With the case of the Disney Pixar case, even explaining that there was a competition between them with the growing computer generated animation industry. However, basing it off of the different categories of merger and acquisitions of Joseph Bauer, I think Disney's acquisition of Pixar can be viewed more as a substitute for research and development. Again, according to Bauer, this type of acquisition happens only when companies acquire another company to obtain technology, products, or capabilities faster than developing them internally. He explained that computers companies can use acquisitions instead of internal research and development when they need to build up their market quickly. Um, this kind of fits with Disney's own animation department, which was struggling and transitioning towards a more computer-generated animation, and much of their success of their films was not really high, while Pixar clearly had a more developed and strong technology, creative talent, and a successful list of films that they have made. As stated in the Disney Pixar case, Disney had actually become heavily dependent on Pixar. Between the years of 1998 and 2004, they contributed to more than 3.5 billion in revenue and 1.2 billion in income in operating income to Disney Studios, which shows that Pixar represented more than 60% of the studio's operating income during that period. The main synergy between the companies would have to be with the operating and revenue strategy. Pixar brought its creative talent, computer animation capabilities, its storytelling, its successful characters through its successful films, while Disney was able to bring the marketing, the cash, the distribution, the merchandising, even the theme parks. The case specifically states that the analysts supported the acquisition because characters from the animated films helped drive Disney theme parks to be more popular and consumer product businesses. One analyst even described Disney and Pixar as a near perfect fit, strategic fit. However, there are several reasons why this merger could have failed. The biggest one would be the culture the culture and loss of the Pixar's creative talent. As stated in the case, Pixar had spent years developing this culture that combined its technical and creative employees. Steve Jobs explained that Pixar had spent more than 10 years learning how to successfully blend these two groups together, showing that Pixar's culture was something that couldn't be replicated or recreated. And then on top of that, Disney could have also damaged its acquisition by forcing its larger corporate structure onto Pixar, which the case specifically states that people were concerned about the cultural clash, where smaller companies such as Pixar becomes a part of a larger entity like Pixar or Disney. Um, Points were made by Bauer when he argues that companies should understand how an acquisition talent target becomes more successful before trying to impose their own process into it. Another risk was definitely overpaying for Pixar. Through the case of Disney and Pixar again analysis, and estimated that Disney may have to spend between 6.5 to 7.4 for the company, which they believed it was too expensive and concerned that the creative team from Pixar would leave after the acquisition. Another fund manager argued that if a Pixar's creative talent left, Disney would essentially have to purchase large, expensive computers instead of the organization that they hope to acquire. Lastly, mergers can fail because management focuses too much on the integration and cost saving, instead of just the other aspects of it. McKinsey found that after the merger, unsettled customers and distracted employees contributed to revenue slowdowns. The article states that up to 40% of the mergers failed to capture their identified cost synergies, meaning that expected savings do not always actually happen. Overall, both companies had a strong strategy because each company provided resources that the other ones needed. And the merger could succeed, but only if Disney protected the creative culture and employees that made Pixar valuable in the first place.